Hey everybody, and welcome. I am going to be teaching a little bit of a class today on soups. We're calling it Soup Part 2 because we're learning two different soups that are going to be 30 minutes or less, and I'm going to show you a quick, easy way to get a home-cooked meal to your table so that you can spend more time with your family and less time in the kitchen. I'm Crystal Blake, and I have been a Pampered Chef consultant for about 6.5 years and have enjoyed every minute of it. I started because I wanted a product. It was not going to stay, and found a community and so much more instead. And so I'm really excited to be able to share this with you. I am doing this because I am the kind of person who wants to do this for people like you, people like me, who maybe don't like cooking, do not want to spend time over the stove, but have to eat anyway. So I'll show you as many hacks as I can. The first recipe we're going to be doing is a broccoli and cheddar soup. I'm going to be using our Pampered Chef Duex cooking blender, which is super awesome, but you can do this on your stovetop as well. So let's get started as I talk a little bit about what we have here. And I have the recipe, so if you need that, you let me know and we can get that sent off to you. So the thing we're going to start with is going to be 2.5 cups of low sodium vegetable broth. I'm going to use, and then we're just going to throw that right in there. Right? 2.5 cups. And then we're going to do some broccoli, right? So the recipe calls for about 6 cups. It's about 2 regular size heads. I've got some chopped tip here, but we're going to take, we're going to chop up a little bit more over here so we have enough. And I'm just using our strainer here. So I'm going to chop through some of these. I'm still going to use these little bits because I like them, but if you don't like them, then you can go ahead and do one of my favorite things to do to get my vegetable broth, which is I take a gallon-sized freezer bag. I throw every little bit of my scraps in there from my vegetables, onions, peels, all of that, and then I save it until I have about a bag full, and then I pop it on the stove with a little bit of salt and some water, and I make my own vegetable broth so I have that, and I don't have to run to the store when I need it. So I'm going to use those because they're perfectly fine to use with this recipe. That's maybe a little bit over 6, but let's take a look. I'm just measuring it out, and I'm going to stuff those in there. And then I'm going to have one of my guests. Kathy, can you grab me that onion that's sitting in the other strainer?
Just the onion?
Yeah. So that's about 6 right there. I'm going to take about half of this onion here, and I'm going to reserve the other half, and I'm using a Santuka knife. We like this because, and whether you're using ours or your own, we like ours because it is German steel that is from tip to end, and it's weighted really nicely, which is super important when you're cooking. And as I will always tell you, a sharp knife is a safe knife. If your knife is dull, make sure you're sharpening it, make sure you're honing it, or make sure you're upgrading your knife. You do not want to hurt yourself in the kitchen. What you'll see is there are little suction cups or little pivots in here. This is great to use for potatoes, onions, anything that would kind of suction your blade. It allows for a little bit of air so you're not trying to pull it off and cut yourself. It's great for safety, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that part off. And peel my onion. And then we're just going to dice that a little bit, maybe in 4s. Blade out so I'm not nicking myself, and we're just going to put that in there. And I'm going to look for my blade cover. I'm going to cover this up while I'm in the kitchen so I do not nick myself. And then it's going to call for 2 cloves of garlic. I'm just going to use our garlic press right here. And I'm going to stuff that in there. And what's great about this is it's going to keep those skins on, and I won't have to get all that garlic on me and end up smelling like garlic. I'm going to use our Barbie brush here just to scrape everything off. And then I'm going to pull this out with my Barbie brush and throw the next one in. Easy peasy, super quick and easy. See? And it pops right off, just like that. And then I can throw all that in my my bag, and I'll be using that for our for my vegetable broth. Okay, so super easy. That's basically what we're working with. We're going to throw in a little bit of salt. Not too much, about a teaspoon or so. And I am going to put my lid on here, and then we're going to take it over to the base and turn on our Duex cooking blender. So the soup is going to be done right in here. Again, you can use a stovetop for this, but I don't have to do it. I can use this and it'll blend it up and cook it at the same time. Our Duex cooking blender is super useful. We use it for so much more than just a smoothie or a milkshake. You can make alternative milks. I make almond milk in this all the time. I do small batches, use as my creamer or cereal milk, that sort of thing. And it's so much less expensive just buying a pound of almonds, and it'll last me forever, really. It's lasted weeks and weeks. So you can do smoothies, you can grind up coffee with this. It washes itself with a heated wash, but that's not what we're doing. We're going to turn it right over here. You'll hear her talking to you when I put on my safety lid. This way I don't have to worry about that coming up on me. And we're going to just turn this dial over to soup. It'll blink, and when it's ready, we're just going to hit that. It's going to make some noise, but that's okay. I'm going to just put that a little bit to the back. And we're going to just set her and forget her. About halfway through or right toward the end, it'll beep for me. It'll give me an add button, and then we're going to add a bag of spinach. It calls for a fresh spinach, but if you do not have fresh spinach, you can, it's about a cup. So I will use basically about half of this, maybe a little bit more, fresh spinach. I'll use this because that's what I had on hand. Also, if you do not have fresh broccoli, you can use frozen broccoli florets. I would just let them thaw a little bit before you get started. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is our second soup, which is a chicken and dumplings recipe that I learned off of TikTok by, I believe it was Barefoot Neighbor, but we'll put the information on the screen so you can have it and check out his recipes too. So we're going to pop on over this way, and it's going to be super easy. One of the things, so chicken stock, right? Sometimes you run out. I did not have enough, but one of the things that I will always carry is a little bit of chicken bouillon. Just because the recipe calls for something, if you have something similar, please use that, because we all ain't got it, right? So anyway, I didn't have enough, so I made my own. I have some hot water here, about 2 cups full. I'm going to take about 2 tablespoons of this chicken bouillon, and I'm going to mix it in, and then we're going to continue with our recipe. I'm using our measuring spoons because they fit in just about everything and makes it super easy to get that measurement that I'm looking for. Okay, so then I'm just going to kind of whisk that up so it's dissolved before I add it into the next one. And if for some reason I made it a little bit salty, it's soup. Add a little bit more water, you'll be okay. So we'll add that in with that so I can get it nice and mixed. Super. See what I did there? Super. Anyway, we're going to mix that up and get started on our recipe. I'm going to use our large mixing bowl here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take either a can of cream of celery, or we kind of played around with the recipe and really liked the way it went with the cream of chicken with herbs. So we're going to use that one. If I feel like I need a little bit more, then I'll add the cream of celery, or at least part of that. We'll just pop that right off. You can see my blender, or hear my blender in the background going off. So we'll check in with that and see how that's doing in just a little bit. So you can do this right in the pan if you want to. The original recipe called for like 3 things, which is super simple, but I'm extra. And I like to add a little bit of vegetables to it. So I like the taste of having celery, which the cream of celery is for. But I also like to make sure I have onions and that sort of thing in there too. So we're just going to scrape that off while we get this ready. Super easy peasy. And then I'm going to start adding this in. and whisking it together. Ooh, I made a mess, which is okay as long as you clean it up. That's what I tell the kids. It's okay to make a mess as long as you clean it up. That's a life lesson, you guys. So just pour it in the best you can. And then we're just going to make sure that we stir that in and whisk it so it's nice and smooth once we put it in the pot. There we go. And I'm going to set her to the side for right now, and I'm going to clean up my mess easily. There we go. And we're going to move on. The next thing we're going to do is our vegetables. I'm going to put my chicken over to the side for just a minute, and we're going to use our Rapid Prep mandolin to get started on those. Like I said, I like to use fresh veggies. I'm going to use a stalk of celery, again using one of our cutlery knives that's nice and sharp. And then I'm going to take my extras, I'm going to put it to the side so I can add that in and use it for some vegetable broth. And then I got some carrots and everything all washed up. So I'm going to pull our Rapid Prep down and add our gourd. I love to tell people, if Pampered Chef gives you a gourd, or if any product gives you a gourd, make sure you're using it. It's there for a reason. We're going to pop this bad boy up and get ready. On the inside, I'll take this off, you'll see that we have some dials here. So what we're going to do, if you have bulk veggies and things that you're doing, I like to make French fries out of this. I also like to do an entire salad using just my bowl here. And I can do that with these dials. So I can either do julienne, fat or thin, or just slices, or I can do how thick I like them. So for this one, we're going to do a slice on them. You can chop by hand, of course. I like my digits, and I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to have it probably at a 2, so it's a little bit thicker, but not terrible. Maybe my celery I'll do as a 1, because I like that to go down. And I'm going to chop this in half and just add it in. And use my pusher. Well, I'm going to start off with my hands until it goes. I like them thin so that I'm not eating chunks, because not everybody likes it. And then we're just going to let that go through. Do we catch it? Okay, she's flying out. Okay. And then I'm going to add just a couple of these cucumbers, of these carrots. I'm using baby carrots, so I know that they're going to slice more on the bias like that instead of round. That's okay. It's okay. You use what you got when you got it. I didn't have a regular carrot, and I wasn't running to the store for it. So, not when I had baby carrots. So I know that's going to slice a little bit differently. She's going ham, so I don't mind that. They're going to cook down, they're thin. I mostly want them for taste, not so much texture. But the good thing is I did it super fast. I don't need a lot of veggies. I just want some for some taste, right? So super quick, I went through that. Of course, I got excited. Don't worry about me. It's okay. The next thing we're going to do, I'm going to put that to the side. We're good, girls. And I'm going to pull out my chopper, and I'm going to take care of an onion. We're going to cut off the side here and peel it. This recipe calls for about a half of onion. Put that in my trash. How many of you guys keep a trash on, I'll move that down. How many of you guys actually keep trash stations to make it easy for cleanup? I always try to either keep a bag or a bowl. I think they call them like trash bowls. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into a couple smaller pieces. And then we're just going to chop it up and make it easy. Using our chopper here. I'm going to put If somebody owes you money, just imagine them. Just imagine them. Super easy. And it's super fast and it's easy to clean up because I just pull the collar right off and throw it in the dishwasher. See? And then I'll just pop the collar off, rinse it off, throw it in the dishwasher, easy peasy cleanup. And again, those blades are super sharp, so you want to make sure that you're taking care of it and making sure you're keeping the blade or your guards on. I'm just going to take this, add it on in so we can transfer it. And we're going to go to the stove, y'all. Let's see how easy that prep work was. And that's basically all the prep that we're going to need for this. I'm going to take this with me. I'm going to cut just a slight bit of, like about a tablespoon of butter. And we're going to come over to the stove. So I'm going to put this on about medium heat, throw our pat of butter in there and our veggies. And I'm going to let those sweat for a couple minutes as we get ready to clean up where we're at, because always so much easier to clean as you go. We're just going to let that start simmering down. Again, this is a step if you're in a hurry and you just want to get to it. This is a step you can completely forget about. You don't have to do it. I just like to be a little bit extra because that's who I am as a person. Okay, so we're going to clean up just a bit. Because we're going to need this station to roll out our biscuits. And while we're doing that, let's take a look and see what our soup's doing. At this point, we have about 6 minutes left before we're going to start adding some of our, our ingredients that are our topping or our add-ins, which is the spinach and the cheese. If you notice that the temperature is showing that it's now on high, it's at 217 or about 214, 217, and it is actually cooking. If you listen closely, you can hear it bubbling. Or you can actually see that there's some steam coming out. So make sure you keep this a little bit away from your cabinets, especially if they're because you don't want that condensation. So there's that. So we're going to let that go. We're going to chop up some cheese while we're waiting for this to, while we're waiting for our mise en place to start cooking down. I'm going to just take our regular utility knife, and we have 4 ounces of cheddar cheese that we're going to cut into cubes. I have used shredded. I absolutely prefer the block cheese as you're doing it, although we have shredded some cheese using our shredder, our cheese shredder. We've used some for our toppings, but for the recipe, definitely use block. The other thing that you want to be aware of is do not use, for something like this, you don't want to use bag cheese. I know if you have it, go for it, but you won't get the same texture. You won't get the meltiness. There is a coating on it that keeps it from sticking, so you don't have a glob. That prevents it from melting really well. And it's just, I've tried it, and you just end up with a stringy gob. It's not as tastefully or texturally appealing. So what we're going to do now, I was using the utility knife, but remember what we were talking about with the Sentoku? We want to, it's been washed, but we're going to use this because then my cheese won't stick. Right? And I don't have to worry about that. So we're just going to block that off because when it's time to add it in, we're going to just add straight from this right on into the top of this. Okay, so let's do our, I'm going to move this broth over because we're going to add that in as soon as our veggies start melting up. But we're going to prepare a place for us to do some biscuit rolling. Okay, so before we get to going on to the biscuits, I'm going to show you how to make your dumplings super easy. I'm going to come over and just check this one more time. It looks like we are starting to sweat down. And so I'm going to add our chicken broth. and cream of chicken mix. Got some extra chicken pieces, so that's cool. I'm actually going to add just a little bit of water to this because I want it to be a little looser than chicken and dumpling soup once it starts to boil up. So I'm going to let this boil, and then as it's boiling down, I'm going to start adding a little bit more water to it so it's not so thick. So let's come on over. You can't have chicken and dumplings without chicken, so the easiest way to do it is I always get a rotisserie chicken. I love it because I can grab the breast off of it, use the rest of the meat. I can use it for different things like chicken salad, or if we just are eating chicken and rice or something like that. But I take the breast and then I just rough chop them for this recipe here. So one chicken, I have 2 different recipes. It makes it super easy for me, and it's no extra work for me. So I'm just going to use our chef knife. And I'm just going to rough chop it out. Sometimes I cut with the grain because I actually want it to shred a little bit. So I'm not having like real big pieces of chicken, however you want to do it. There's no wrong answer to the way that you want your chicken popped out. Okay, so we're going to keep going. I know behind me, I have heard my soup. Let me know it's getting ready to want to have some add-ins. So literally just a few minutes, and here we go with one of our soups almost done. We're just going to let her sit for a little bit. I'm going to add this chicken back into my bowl for later. And then let's go do our add-in. So the add-in, it'll tell me that it's ended. It's ready for me to add. I'm using the top here. And I'm going to be adding everything through there so that I don't burn myself with the soup. So we're going to go with our 4 ounces of cheddar cheese. You're just going to plop it right down in there. And then I'm going to take my spinach. Again, I used it from frozen, but I let it thaw out just a little bit. There was 12 ounces, so I'm using just about 8 ounces of that. We're going to leave a little bit to the side, or we did. And the rest of that's just going to go in. Again, this is your preference. It's a little bit watery, so you can strain this as you go. It may not look great at the moment, but it's going to be delicious. Just trust the process. Then we're going to add our cap back. Turn it back to seal it. It's letting me know that it's been sealed. I'm going to hit cancel, and then I'm going to pulse it. And I'm just going to let it continue to blend really well to get that cheese melted. Make sure it's not stringy. Make sure that our spinach is incorporated really nicely. Do about 30 seconds or so. And it's nice because it's counting for me. And now we have super delicious velvety broccoli and cheddar soup. Come look at that. And we'll serve that up and let you see it as soon as we are done with our other soup. I am going to put the lid back on there so it stays warm. And then we're good. Okay. Now we're going to roll out some biscuits. What's easy about this part is that we're just using grands. I prefer the taste to it, so we're going to pop this open and probably scare me. So do not judge if I scream. Lord Jesus. Make sure you have a clean surface and life insurance. Okay, so I like to pop these just out so that they're separated because I'm going to put a little bit of flour in between on these. And all we're going to do is flour our clean surface. And then I'm going to just dust those off as I'm going. Like that. I'm going to take my rolling pin and try to roll those out pretty thinly. Just as easy as that. And then I'm going to take our pizza dough cutter and we're just going to make little cuts. They don't have to be perfect. And then we're going to put it in, I'm going to just put it in here for now. And as we're waiting for that to start boiling, makes it so easy to roll it out. Just make it thin and then cut them up. They can be a little bit irregular, that's okay. And whatever size that you're looking to get, I should have brought my scraper with me to show you guys. Makes it a little easier. And as you're going, just keep flouring your surface so it doesn't stick. I love having countertops like this because it makes it like magic. And we're going to do 8. So if you're doing like doubling it, I would absolutely double your dumplings too. And as you need it, just keep putting flour down. And you're just going to repeat this process till it's done. Okay. Now that we have our dumplings done, we're just going to take it on over. I can hear my pot a boiling. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these over. And though it's boiling, I'm just going to start adding them in a little bit at a time. I've also not dusted off the extra flour because I want them to, the flour is going to help thicken this up for me. I'm trying to get them a little bit separated, but if not, they'll start separating as they're in there. You just don't want to dump them all at once so that they don't end up clumping. And I'm about halfway through, so I'm going to give it a quick stir. Because again, I want those to start separating. Some are big, some are a little bit little. All are going to be delicious. Now, of course, teaching this recipe, you have to add some time for the teaching moments of it. But generally, you can get this recipe done in about 25 minutes. Start to finish, even with chopping of your vegetables. Or if you are inclined to do it, you can buy your vegetables already chopped and add those if you're going to be adding it. If not, you're just looking at the cream of celery, the chicken broth, and the biscuits. And I have added a little bit of water in this just to thin it out a little bit because we have quite a few people to feed. And then we're going to just give it a nice mix. You'll see these starting to puff up already. And then my vegetables in it. And we're going to allow that to continue to do that. Again, I'm extra, so I'm going to add a little bit of our bell pepper and herb seasoning to this. I'm just going to shake it right on top there. These do not have sodium added to it or salt added to it, so I'm not worried about adding any extra salt, especially since I have that bouillon in here. The last thing I'm going to do is add a healthy ton of pepper, because literally is it chicken and dumplings if there's no pepper added. So I'm going to do generous amounts, and then we're going to do it a little bit. You can add it to your meal as well. And again, just stir it again, and that's going to move those dumplings around. And then our very last step that we're going to do is we're going to take that rotisserie chicken once those have started cooking, and all we're going to do is add a little bit of that, and we're going to add that right in there. I like doing this step a little bit before the dumplings are done so that chicken not only heats all the way back through, but it starts to also break down a little, because I like, instead of the big clumps of it, I really do like when it starts to break apart and you have like those little pieces in between. So the only thing left to do is cover this, let it simmer until your dumplings are done. Maybe another 5 or 10 minutes checking it and stirring it, and you are all set and done. I'm going to plate up as soon as this is done, and I'll show you what the results look like. Okay, welcome back. So we are finally done with our soup part deux. We have chicken and dumpling soup and broccoli and cheddar soup. And what is soup without a salad? So I have also included a brand new recipe, which is our Mediterranean orzo salad. I have a special guest. He's my brother, but DJ Remix is in the house. He was not here when I was cooking, so he gets to taste test right in front of you guys. So we're just going to finish garnering up our broccoli and cheddar soup with a little bit of cheddar and some fresh salt. And some cracked black pepper. It's peppery. Okay, so you get to come in and take a taste and just taste. This is the chicken and dumplings, and let us know what you think.
That's delicious.
Yeah? You're for real? Okay. And then this, because you're going home with it. This is going to be broccoli and cheddar soup. We like the broccoli and cheddar, as you guys saw. It was super clean, super easy to make. And how's it taste?
That's actually pretty good. I like that.
Yeah? Were you surprised?
Pretty surprised.
So we got it taste tested, approved. I would love for you guys to be able to do this with me the next time. So if you are interested in a cooking class, whether it be soup or salad, especially this summer, make sure that you get a hold of me so we can do that for you and your friends. It's not just beneficial because you get recipes, but you also can have a chance to earn free product when you do it, or help your friends learn how to make a meal so they, again, are spending less time in the kitchen and more time with their family and friends. Thanks again so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.